opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barbers Chat Network, our great partners at HMB Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those of you who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack just like I'm Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition. I'm not going to hold you. It is your boy Scott here, man. It is Friday, April 11th, 2025, man. We have got a packed show for y'all on deck. But of course, man, y'all know where to start. You know how we start. You know where to follow me on all social media platforms. And that Barber Chair Scott, you can follow the Barber Chair, that Barber Chair Co. on all social media platforms. And of course, you can follow our partners at HMB Media TV on Twitter and that HMB Media on Instagram, man. And follow I'm Not Gonna Hold You new Instagram page at INGHY Show on Instagram, man. Of course, if you do all this, you can also subscribe to the Barbers Chair Network Patreon. That is patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network. If you listen to this on the podcast feed, the link is in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, on your tablet or whatever, take your phone up to the screen. The QR code will take you right to the 4 different tiers that we have. And yeah, man, if you subscribe to the I'm Not Gonna Hold You tier or the Barbershop Access tier, you get 25% off on your first order at the Barbers Chair Network shop. It is the bcnetshop.com. We've got a special draft shirt coming for y'all on, well, not a draft shirt, but shirt dropping on draft day. If you want to see a preview of that, you can go to the 7 Handles page right now. So look out for that, man. So got a big show on deck for y'all, man. So right now we're going to bring in my co-host, man. We've got JR Bang and Dante. Of course, you know it's Friday, so that means Dante's pulling up. You can follow Bang at JR Bang on all social media platforms. You can follow Dante at October Zone Tay on Twitter. How y'all feeling?
Solid, bro. Masters week. I need ESPN to stop hating on Live Golf and show my boy Bryson because he's going crazy right now.
Yeah, I heard. I saw Lil Wayne's tweet. So they not. I don't get it.
Basically, what they're doing is anybody that plays for Live Golf, most of them not playing good right now, but Bryson's going crazy, but they're not showing him. They're not doing any coverage. They're not like people are finding out what he's doing based off the timeline. And, you know, the occasional shot here or there. But, like, for him to not be in a feature group, because the way they do it is they have groups that they follow for all 18 of their holes, and they just show that foursome. But they have not shown Bryson, and they have no intention to show him Bryson because he's a live guy. And they really hate him, the live guy. So the only way we'll see Bryson is if he goes, which I think he will be. He'll be in the funnel group on Sunday, and they won't have a choice but to show him. But, I mean, right now, they've been on bullshit with the coverage. But other than that, man, I'm solid, bro. Back in the building, like you said, make sure y'all check out High and Outside. I was out at the Phillies Braves game The Braves did take 2 out of 3. The game last night was like 7 hours. It was a rain delay and shit, but they walked them off. We're gonna have some editorials coming up. Probably after every homestand, what we'll do is we'll give you a brief recap of everything going down here, and we're gonna go from there. But I'm solid, bro.
Oh, did
Man,
you say
how you feel?
editorials?
Yeah,
Did
bro.
I
We
hear
got to.
editorials? My nigga, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, trying to do my job, Scott. That's all. Hey man, I'm feeling better than Derek Carr's shoulder right now. I don't know if
Yeah, I
y'all
just
saw what
saw
I
that
just dropped up
update.
in the
Yeah.
chat. But yeah, so it looks like they getting a quarterback.
I wonder who that'll be.
I wonder who that's
I
going to
wonder.
be. But no, I'm good, man. Tonight, I'm going to check out some wrestling, Windy City Riot with the big homie Jonathan Hood. So you'll get a recap of that on First Black Champ coming up this weekend. Plus, also next weekend. First of all, Scott, I'll just openly throw out my PTO for next Friday. I will not make it because I will be renewing my vows on the 19th.
Oh, okay. All right.
So Friday I'll be
I love
getting
how
ready.
Dante clapped while on mute. Couldn't hear, but
Yeah.
And that was on purpose. I didn't want to clap right into the mic, but we love it.
So there's that. So getting ready for that. But then also the same weekend is WrestleMania weekend. So on this next episode of First Black Champ, we're gonna be throwing out our predictions for that and things we'd like to see at the Showcase of Immortals and stuff like that. So yeah, y'all be ready. This is gonna be a big week for Bang the family and for First Black Champ.
Well, Mania weekend, aka the one weekend Scott watches per year. But is that your PCA is approved online? Because Mariano just texted me 5 minutes ago, said he's gonna be on the show next Friday. So your feeling is
My
already hit.
nigga,
So,
thank you.
so yeah, Mariano just hit me, but I'm feeling good, man. What's it called? Dante said he's been watching the Masters. I've been watching soccer, nigga. Arsenal is very close to getting Real Madrid up out of here in the Champions League. So I've been watching that. And yeah, just getting ready for the playoffs. We're gonna have a lot of playoff talk on this show on Monday. So yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Just ready for the playoffs to start, so we can stop talking about regular season basketball. But let's start with the warm up. By the way, Orlando, it's good to see you back in the chat. I didn't know if Joe got you out of here yesterday when he blocked you on the 79th Howler stream for saying "Go Blue." So if you know anything, my brother, that nigga serious. That nigga took his kids to a field trip up to Notre Dame, and this nigga wore Ohio State shit up there. So
my nigga ain't shit.
Yeah. Shout out to Miles. He says checking in from Japan. Shout out to Japan. I am planning on being in Tokyo for my 37th birthday this year. That would be fun. So let's get into the warm up, which is where we talk about shit that isn't on the regular rundown, man. We got to start with Mr. Kendrick Lamar dropping a new video for the song that has been number one on the charts for going on 2 months. Now, the Luther video finally dropped as he is about a week away from going on tour, the Grand National Tour, which I still do not have tickets for. But one way or another, I will be there. Whether it's an LA show or a Chicago show, I will be there. But yeah, man, this was interesting timing here. Now, I'm not gonna do the everything that Kendrick does is about Drake. Everything that Drake does is about Kendrick because I don't believe that. But I do think it's very funny that the closer Nokia is getting on the charts, Kendrick is like, let me put this out right now. But yeah, I mean, my thoughts on the video, loved it. Breaking news here. But more than anything out of it, I love just how they shot it. I love really the whole vibe that PG Lang and Dave Free, even though Dave Free didn't actually direct this one. It was director. She's actually from Toronto.
And she directed God's Plan.
Yeah, and she directed God's Plan. Amazing cinematography. I grew up in a house where a lot of Luther Vandross was played, so I loved how they really gave Luther more shine by, the different pauses they had in the videos. It told like a story. Gave me a real '90s vibe towards the end. And then the final scene, nigga, what they played the whole song, if the world were mine, but it gave one of the scenes on one of my favorite movies, nigga, The Wood. Love that fucking movie. That was like an old stat in there, but I love the fucking video. I love the song. this album has been out 5 months, and it really feels like it's about to go on another run with the weather getting warmer, and with this nigga about to go on tour. Bang, what's your thoughts on the video? Because I actually beat you to putting the video in the group chat, which I thought was surprising.
No, I mean, no, I got to send that shit to work first to make sure that they get it up. Man, I loved it. Like I'm somebody when it comes to videos, I'm a simple but effective guy. And I thought it was simple, good. Like you said, the cinematography was excellent and stuff. And the tribute to Luther. I was telling somebody this on my team that as we get older, people become like underrated. And Luther is one of those people that as we get older, he's become underrated. Especially when when people have conversations about singing. You can't really have like, yo, this motherfucker singing conversations like that no more. And then plus when you think about Luther's documentary that came out, like on New Year's Day and everything.
Very
So
sad
Luther's
documentary.
very. So it still puts me in the mind of we're still celebrating Luther. So I like that he celebrated one of the OGs, an OG that should be talked about more. And it was a good video, a great video nonetheless. And it makes me think, and I know I'm probably thinking too far. And maybe because the timing of the album coming out is probably not going to be the case. However, I have not heard a rap album that's better. So it already feels like to me that he's gonna get rap out like all of the rap album Grammys.
Oh yeah.
Um, like he's gonna clear out the Grammys again, because nobody has came out to me with a quality album or quality rap album that can match that. But also it makes me think that he is probably the front runner for album of the year at the Grammys for next year too. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out.
Yeah, and before we go, Dante, I 100% agree with that. And he's already like a Grammy darling. So like, even if there was another album that comes out that gets to that close, they're probably gonna lean towards Kendrick. But Dante, what you think about the video?
The video was dope. I really enjoyed it. I think, typically, I'm not gonna get too in depth into all the, shots and everything like that, but it was really creative. That's something we always expect from Kendrick at this point, and he delivered again. I think the video definitely fit the mood of the song, and that's something that's important for me. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm excited for the tour. I think he's going to be put on a great show. I'm with you. I haven't decided what city I'm gonna go to yet. I'm gonna get tickets somewhere, but as far as the video, I think the video was really dope. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought he was gonna let it ride like he always does. Like, typically whenever we want something from Kendrick, he's just like, all right, whatever, nigga. But this is a situation where I think you really couldn't ignore it because the song has been on number one for so long. It's like, nah, this is a song that deserves a video. So it was a surprise that he did it, but the timing was right. So I enjoyed it.
Oh, I know that Kendrick usually, and granted, I'm very much a Kendrick super fan. I refuse to say stan because I'm a grown ass man, so I'm not ever gonna be standing for anybody. I'm a Kendrick super fan, and I will say that Kendrick usually does about 5 videos per album, and I just knew that. One thing I like about Kendrick, he drops a video and he goes on about his married business. There's no other shit with it. Now, obviously, videos don't have the same cachet that he used to have in the back in the day. This would have shut 106 Park down. Nigga, this video would have been retired by 106 Park. Like 100%. Kendrick would have came on there and shit. It'd have been a whole big thing. So videos don't really feel the same anymore. I think videos are, if anything, a very small marketing tool to boost sales back up, because if you don't know, YouTube does count. YouTube views do count as streams. So yeah, that helps that as well, man. But Big Suit, the Dot, that album ain't left my rotation, so I'm looking forward to the tour and everything else he's got on, man. But now we gotta go to something I know Bang. I saw Bang tweeting about yesterday, so I know Bang was upset about this, man. Pop the Balloon, the internet sensation, has been bought by Netflix and is now airing on Netflix and is live. I just want to say before we get into our critiques, big shout out to the Black Queen who made this show and got this deal. So I want to salute to her and her business acumen for being able to get that on there. And this is also hosted by Yvonne Orji, better known as Molly from Insecure. Just want to say she's way too fine to be a virgin, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm gonna give the floor to Bang for what he thought, because I saw him tweeting yesterday, like, what the fuck is this?
And I'm still questioning, like, what the fuck is this? Like, they turn Pop the Balloon to goddamn Change of Heart or some like MTV shit. I knew that this shit was over when they had Johnny Bananas from Real World Road Rules as one of the contestants. So I already was like, man, get the fuck up out of here, fam. Like Johnny Bananas, G. I've been watching Johnny Bananas since I was a teenager. And he's coming up here trying to find love. And look, I know this is gonna sound bad. Hell, this might sound light rate racist to some people. But I need to see all that non-people of color shit on Pop the Balloon to Find Love. I need that shit. It was too many white folks on there. Sorry. I did not. And it was more white people than it was people of color. That's what made it even worse. Now, yeah, it was a couple of them white women that was on there that said that they like niggas and all that shit. But still, it ain't the same. The way that everything was set up for Pop the Balloon to Find Love, simple. White background, had the little thing on the end. She'd be walking down the line and all of that stuff. But even though they be having people on there that just be, be acting the fool and shit, for the most part, even with the dumb shit some of these people say on Pop the Balloon and Find Love, the YouTube version, it seems like it's honest. Like they're not playing for TV. I could tell right off the bat that the folks that on the Netflix version was trying to play for TV and stuff. So it didn't feel authentic. Like the whole entire show from start to finish didn't feel authentic. It felt fake. It felt played and created for TV. So we stopped watching it. Like we stopped watching it, and we had realized that a new episode had came out on Wednesday. So me and my wife watched the Wednesday episode that popped up on YouTube, and we're more than likely going to be watching the YouTube version and the YouTube version only. When people start telling me about Pop the Balloon, I was already skeptical in seeing some of the clips that was going viral. But it actually turned out to be an entertaining show to see how dumb people are when it comes to like finding love and all of that stuff. But again, it felt honest and authentic at the very least. The Netflix show didn't. It missed the mark. And honestly, I hope they don't air another episode. But Shorty get all her money. I'm happy she got her bread though.
Get all your money, Shorty. That's one thing I'll say about this is why Netflix is the only streaming service that legitimately makes money, because they have a lot of stuff on there for everybody. Whether we think about Pop Balloons, Huff or not, or whatever, it's because they know how to get people talking. And Bang, like you were saying, watch people be desperate for love is why people watch these stupid shits. Like I am an very avid Love is Blind supporter. Except for this past season, like for the reason that you just mentioned, way too many white people on this season of Love is Blind. I don't know what the hell was going on. There's usually at least two black couples, or at least 3 to 4 black participants who are going on in this spectacle to make it entertaining. It was not that this case, but yeah, much love to the lady who got this book. And my question to y'all, it's kind of even about Pop the Balloon, but really about like when popular shows, whether internet shows, go big time. I feel like it's like a gift and a curse. Like, yeah, you're getting your money, it's on a bigger platform, but it loses a lot of the essence. I think there's only one show that I can think of. That's probably Pat McAfee, who he went to a major network and nothing changed. Like, and I just want to tell y'all right now, I will sell out. If Netflix tells me right now, we want you to be our first sports show, this will be a way more calm environment if that's what they want. Just want to let you know ahead of time. But Dante, what do you think about like the balances of stepping up into a new, form of media, but still kind of keeping your core?
I think with shows like this, we shouldn't have expected that. Once they sold it, it was gone. It was a wrap. I also think it's something that's difficult to do because a part of the essence of these shows on YouTube is the grind and the way they do it, and the cheap cameras, sometimes iPhone cameras. It's not always the top production. And as production quality increases, the nature of the show is going to change. I guess you can't change that. And so I think with a show like this, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've never seen an episode of this. Like
I mean, I've never
YouTube,
watched it in full,
Netflix.
but I've seen you never seen like a clip.
I mean, I've seen like a few seconds of a clip and usually just turn it off. But
Hey man,
it
that's
was
just
just
hilarious, G.
yeah,
Them
no, it was
shit.
just something that it just never connected with me. But I know they have a huge following. But at the same time, like you said, when you move into a new arena, the arena with a lot more money, a lot of better production, things are gonna change. And once we found out, once they said they were changing the whole style, I kind of got the vibe like, yeah, this is gonna be some
Yep.
BS. It's like it's not gonna be what everybody thinks it's gonna be based off what y'all loved about the show. So I wasn't surprised, but at the same time, I think when you again, like I said, when you move into a new arena like this where it's better production, more money, and with more money, and Netflix, it's hard for them to turn a profit, but just more money involved in general, things are gonna be different.
Now
Also,
again, let me
my
real
bad.
quick,
Go ahead,
Scott. Let
bro.
me just say this. I just want to state this again. I'm not mad at Shorty getting her money. Go ahead and get that money because there's Pop the Balloon, and then there's Pop the Balloon or Find Love. So when you think about the way that that is even titled, there's two different shows. Fuck Pop the Balloon, but
Mm.
Pop the Balloon or Find Love is very hilarious, and I like laughing with and at people, and I find myself laughing at people on Pop the Balloon or Find Love rather than saying, "Oh, I hope these niggas end up together."
Oh no, I
No,
never had that. I want
yeah,
drama, nigga.
like I want to laugh, and it was something that was said yesterday um that had me rolling. So like in the episode that came out Wednesday, they asked this dude, how many kids he had, and he was stopping short of saying how many kids he had. Then he was like, "I got 6, about 4 different baby mamas." But the funny thing about it is, about 3 of the women that was looking at the men, 3 of the women was like, "Man, but dude kind of handsome and shit, though. I might go." Even though that nigga has 6 kids. So I love that shit. Cause it's like, God damn it, if the TV wasn't known and that nigga told you he had 6 kids, you would just be like, no, I'll go. I'll try not to get pregnant, but I'll go. So I see the nigga shit on Pop the Balloon to Find Love. And that's what I like about that shit.
I mean, we all have our guilty pleasures. Mine is easily a crappy reality show. Like nigga, don't let an old school real world marathon come on like MTV or some shit like that, or whatever channel that they be playing that shit on. I will. Rest of my day is done. I will watch that shit for the rest of the fucking day. Like I that is 100% my guilty pleasure. My favorite part of Love Is Blind is after they start doing a dumbass experiment where they talking to each other behind a door to find love. My favorite part is when they meet each other and they go on vacation. Then they realize, hey, this motherfucker ain't as cute as I thought they was. Hey, this nigga snores in his sleep. But hey, and then you realize, maybe trying to fall in love behind the door is indeed stupid. So yeah, I like that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that I want to watch in my free time when I have nothing else to do. So, but shout out to that young lady who made her bread from that shit, man. But
Dante, what is your guilty pleasure?
yeah, that's a good question.
What is your guilty pleasure show?
Ah, man.
Because mine
See,
is Pop the Balloon to Find Love.
Cause I do like nigga shit. For a few years, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I just had to get rid of the network altogether because it went too far. Jocelyn's Cabaret was fucking hilarious. Dude. When I tell you, when that show first came out, the first couple seasons was gold, bro. That woman is insane. But
Yeah, she is.
for a couple years, that was my guilty pleasure, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. That show was hilarious.
As soon
Yeah.
as you said it, I was like, it's about to be some zoo shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's the part about a guilty. Mine is crappy TV. Also, I will always sit down for a good rom com, my nigga. I will, and you know why I love rom coms? Because it's not like that in real life. That's why I love them movies, bro. Like
Nigga, Dirty Dancing? Oh, y'all niggas think I'm bullshitting. Dirty Dancing is one of my favorite movies. And it's definitely top 10. And I had the time of my life. It's one of the greatest songs of all time. That
Yes, it
song
is.
put me in the greatest mood. Like I
Yes.
be thinking I'm Patrick Swayze when I be dancing, doing that shit. This is that you're the one thing. And I like, yeah, nigga, get that shit. You about to fuck baby tonight.
If I
Yeah,
had to
so
do my top 5 favorite rom coms, number 1 is Boomerang.
yeah, a
Easily,
Boomerang is number
Boomerang.
2 favorite movie of all time for me too.
Yeah, Boomerang is my number 1 favorite rom. Number 2, Hitch. Will Smith and my man Kevin James. You got the Fresh Prince and you got Doug Heffernan in a great movie. Number 3, you gotta go Brown Sugar with Tay Diggs and Sanaa Lathan. That's like the 5th movie they in. I got some white rom coms.
Let's
Friends with
go.
Benefits with Justin
Ah,
Timberlake and Mila Kunis. Very high on my list. And then I'm gonna see number 5. What will be my number 5 favorite rom com? Whoa, that's I just had it in my head a second ago. It's a white one. What's the name?
I know
of
one
shit?
of mine is
She's
Couples
All That.
Retreat.
She's
who?
All That is one of mine with Freddie Prinze
She's
Jr.
All That is a good one.
Couples Retreat is one of mine with Vince Vaughn and Faison Love.
Never
Oh,
Been
that's-
Kissed with Drew Barrymore.
that's a classic. You Got Mail's pretty solid for the late 90s.
Hey,
You know what
Pretty
I'm saying?
Woman, like Pretty Woman is my
Pre-
shit too. I
Pretty-
can really
Yeah.
go ahead.
Now I'm just gonna say, Pretty Woman is a funny ass movie when you think about it. Like,
Yes, very.
and that's
She was a
why
two. Yeah.
that's why I was like, people gassing up. Who was that movie that won the Oscar?
That won the Oscar.
Yeah, when Courtney said you gotta watch, she's I cried that movie. I was like, this ain't nothing but Arab version of a Pretty Woman. That's really all it is. Like, not it was Russian. That's what nigga was Russian. That's what it was. That's all it fucking is. But yeah, like I'm good for a good rom com, man. Like straight up, those are some of my favorite joints. Actually, you know what's fun? Oh, here's one. This was number 5. It's actually more of a comedy, but still rom com. Knocked Up.
Oh hell yeah.
Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl. This when she was getting roles. That's one of my favorites. He said Baggage Claim and Just Right Am I Guilty. Yeah. You like Baggage Claim I can't believe they gave Paula Patton a script. That
that movie
Two
was
can
so
play
bad.
that game. Yes, that's a classic black rom com. Two can play that game. I like that.
Bro,
one.
it was like any rom com with Morris Chestnut and it was pretty solid.
It's
Like he's a
fire.
solid B tier guy. Like he's very
Yes.
consistent.
Yeah, give some love to my man Lance Sullivan, okay? The whole Best Man franchise is fine. Even the series. I was worried about the series was awesome. Perfect into the story. You got and I love how they did each decade. This how they are in their 20s. This how they late 30s, late 40s. This how they are in 50s. Deliver Us from Evil, another good one. This is not a rom-com, but it's definitely a woman movie that I actually fuck with. Waiting to Excel is a very good movie.
It's a very good movie.
Waiting to Excel is a very good movie. So
Whitney Houston had a few bangers, G. We don't talk about
Whitney-
it. Shout out to the Bodyguard. Shout
Hey,
out to the
Bodyguard. That's actually the movie she started doing crack. But that's
I
neither
mean,
here
she
nor there.
OD'd. She OD'd on the set of that movie.
Yeah, and that's what happened. It wasn't Bobby to put Whitney on. It was the other way around. Also, the movie Preacher's Wife is a very insane movie when you actually sit and think about it.
Oh yeah, we were rooting for an angel to fuck somebody's wife. Like
Right, a preacher's wife of all that.
Yeah,
Dudley the Angel
it's
should got
pretty
his ass
fucked up.
whooped. Yeah, exactly. But tune in more for Films with Scott. But let's go to everybody likes the Best Man. Everybody likes Best Man. Best Man Holiday. This how wild 2013 was. There's an R. Kelly song in the credits, and we didn't blink. Just want to say that.
At all.
That's
I know you
it.
didn't mention it. And before we go, I know you didn't mention it in your top, but my favorite movie, and I consider this not only a rom com, one of the few movies, black coming of age when nobody dies. The Wood is one of the greatest
The
movies
Wood,
ever.
nigga. Yeah, I just brought up a kid. I love The Wood, bro. Love The Wood because it's about black men friendship, and nobody got killed. Nobody got killed. Even Stacy, I don't give a damn if he's Scully, whatever. That nigga is Stacy. DeAndre Bonds is Stacy forever. See, this is my Orlando. I ain't like the brothers. The brothers was a rip off of the Wood.
Yeah, I like the brothers.
Yeah, the brothers was
Yeah.
corny.
The brothers
The
is
brothers was
we got the Wood at home. That's what the brothers
no,
is.
the brothers wasn't even the Wood. The brothers was waiting to exhale.
You get the men version.
I don't want to see that shit. Let the women let the women have their shit.
Let the women have their thing, man. Like one day we gonna talk about our top 5 favorite waifu movies, but Superbad is number 1 on my list, and the first Hangover is also on there somewhere. But we're gonna talk about that later on. He said The Wood was the first movie I saw in Forest City. You wanna know the first movie I saw in Forest City was? Batman and Robin, nigga. Terrible movie. Batman and
With
Robin
Fat
was the first movie.
With Fat Penguin.
No. This was with George Clooney.
Right, I'm saying, but that's the one with
that
Buddy
was
was
Sub-Zero. No, Arnold
Oh,
Schwarzenegger
Sub-Zero.
was Sub-Zero.
Okay,
Yeah. And they had Batgirl was in it. Yeah.
They wasted Jim Carrey.
No, that was Batman Forever. That was one with Val Kilmer.
I gotta get my Batmans together, bro.
Yeah, you gotta get your Batman up. Yeah, because the first Batman is Nicholson's Joker. The second Batman is Danny DeVito's Penguin. And I think that was it. And then the third one, Batman Forever, was
Michelle Pfeiffer was in there with DeVito.
Yeah. Michelle Pfeiffer was Catwoman. That's what it was. And in Batman Forever, Val Kilmer was Batman, and the villains was Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, and Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Then Batman Forever, it was Batman and Robin was Mr. Freeze, and that was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And then the actual good Batman movies came out.
Yeah.
So,
but we gotta shout out Michelle Pfeiffer. That's a high quality white woman right there.
Look, man. Look. I'm gonna look in the camera when I said I will fuck Michelle Pfeiffer today. Okay, like straight up, Michelle Pfeiffer still look good. I was watching Ant-Man, all 3 of them. I still go. Power Rangers first movie I saw in Forest City. That's a good one. We gotta start one. First movie you saw in Forest City. That's a good one. But gotta move on.
Never watched one at Forest City, sir.
Yeah, I mean, really? Yeah, you from out west.
That's true.
You from out west. But we talk about media and new things moving on. We got to talk about these guys right inside the NBA. Last night was their last regular season airing of the show on TNT. So almost 40 years in a wrap. Is a wrap. Ernie got real emotional on the stage. I think there was that what college were they? Were they at college yesterday?
No, I think they were the Turner. That's how the Turner. That's how the Turner studio looks. That's how the campus looks.
Okay.
It's an actual campus.
Okay, I thought that was like one of them colleges over there, but yeah, that's the campus over there. And we know the guys are going to be here next year with ESPN and ABC, not full time. If you've been living under rock, you will see them opening week. Then you won't see them again till Christmas. And then you'll see them every ESPN and ABC game every week after January 1st. These niggas going to do the NBA playoffs, the conference finals, and for the first time, the NBA finals. But it will not be in the same capacity that we seen last night. And I love how they did like the ending, the Sopranos ending. They did that at the end, which I thought was dope. I don't care what nobody says about inside the NBA. I know people had their complaints. They don't even watch the show. They do no research, which we know they don't, because Charles Barkley asked Michael B. Jordan yesterday, is this the first movie you've done with Ryan Coogler? So obviously, these niggas don't do any research. But I think that's what makes it funny, because you're just watching your old uncles complain. But I think any show that's been on this long, you got to salute it. We know it's never going to be the same. I don't know how tame it's going to be on ABC, ESPN, even though TNT is still going to produce it. But you gotta tip your hat to them. Bane, did you see yesterday? And if not, just what'd you think about the final ending for the regular season era of on TNT?
I didn't see much of it, but I don't fit we're still going to see them. It's not an end of an era. If TNT is going to produce it, then it's not an end of an era to me. I think we're going to see TNT on ESPN simply. I have this saying on First Black Champ here on Barbershop Network that the WWE cameras look different than anything else. Like, you could be a cold ass wrestler, but as soon as you get in front of them WWE cameras, you either a star or you ain't, but you still look different. And I've said this for like the past 3 or 4 wrestlers that they debuted or re-debuted. When Cody Rhodes got back into a WWE camera, looked different. Penta looked different. Ray Phoenix looked like a goddamn star. ESPN sometimes do that when it comes to when you see people like Peter Schrager. When he got on Get Up, I was like, okay, I see it. I feel you. Cameras look different. Inside the NBA is the one show that I don't feel like the cameras are going to look different because TNT is going to produce it. I don't
Yeah,
think it's going to be watered down because if they didn't water down Pat McAfee, they're not watering down
that's very
this.
true.
I
Very true.
think this is ESPN's way of saying that we have not been able to create a great studio show. So now we got to license this shit. So if this works, honestly, I expect like we was having a conversation last week around like some of these NBA players turn podcasters. If this work in the capacity that I think it will be, that it will, um, I can't wait to see the NBA star that gets the Peyton Manning deal because a lot of that stuff is licensed too. Like he is a big part of the network, but no, he's like the homie. I want to see which basketball player becomes the Peyton Manning of basketball to elevate that. Could that be Carmelo Anthony? Could that be LeBron James retires? Could that be Gilbert Arenas? I think somebody is in that lane,
I
or
can
that
see
lane
Gil
is
for
waiting for
sure.
somebody. I can see that lane waiting for somebody to be able to license their content. Because even if you look at ESPN too, a lot of their podcasts that they record video wise, they play on air. So
Yep.
it's time.
Well, that means ESPN, holla at your boy. Holla at your boy. I'm not gonna hold you on ESPN. Dante, any thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, like you said, sad to see it go. I know a couple of people I went to school with. One is was a graphics producer. He won't be going to ESPN with him. Another one was doing music. He has to find something else too. So it won't be everybody going with him, but like you said, as long as they can, keep the majority of the production the same and give us the same content, then it should be good. It shouldn't be much of a difference. You have to tip your cap to him. Like I say, anytime you have the longevity that lasts for 40 years doing anything is insane. But for the amount of time they've done this show to, what he said, pick up Charles, pick up Shaq, and just continue to give us fresh content on a weekly basis. No matter how you feel about their basketball acumen, no matter how much you feel about them, just hating on the younger generation or giving their sometimes, I don't want to say outdated, but just their opinions. Like you said, it's like watching your uncles argue. Something we've always enjoyed, and I'm interested to see what this next chapter looks like. But shout out to everybody who helped make that show happen and made it the great show that it was.
Definitely. Miles says in the chat, the other guys, the top 10 comedy. Yes, it is. The other guys is amazing, nigga. Got another chat. What ESPN and Omaha Productions did with the Numbers on the Board podcast, exactly what Bang's talking about. It's just different. Yeah. Shout out to producer Manny. I have before we move on to our actual topics, one last thing here on the warm up. I accidentally came up with a way to save All Star Weekend as I was talking to Pav yesterday. We were just texting about some shit, and I was like, since watching soccer, I understand the in-season tournament now. Did not get it before, but understanding all of the European soccer competitions that go on, it makes perfect sense to me what the NBA Cup is. And here's how you fix the NBA All Star. You should have these qualifying games. They already have them early, but stretch that shit into like January or late December. In January you start doing knockout round, and instead of the All-Star game, the NBA Cup championship should replace that. Now I personally think it should be in Vegas every year, but if they wanna, I know you want to switch it up for partnership reasons or whatever the host city is, you get the NBA Cup championship. Both teams are gonna play hard because it's a championship on the line and there's major money on the line. And then that will be followed up by a full week off. I think that is an instant fix. We ain't got to worry about teams not playing anymore. And you still get the all-star accolades. You know what I'm saying? You still get, oh, he was a 10-time all-star and things like that. But you don't play the actual game. Instead, you have an actual competition going on with an actual money and actual prize. Dante, what do you think about that? Do you think that's doable or not?
Yeah, no, I think it's doable. You have schedule makers that can make things shake. That's one thing I never underestimate is the power of the schedule makers. They can do anything. That's what they get paid to do. And so I think giving the teams, I think the biggest issue would be your TV contracts and how you have to fulfill certain obligations there. But as far as the tournament, like I told you, like when we first started talking about it, they stole this idea from soccer for that very reason because of the excitement that it brings, and it keeps people locked in and engaged during different moments of the year. So I think that would be dope. I've been a fan of making the in season tournament finale, possibly the All-Star break, something like that. But I think it's like I said, it's different things you can do creatively that will not only just add to the anticipation around the in season tournament, but get teams to actually want to play for it. Like, obviously we live in a championship of bust society. We talk about bubble championships. We talk about, any other cons, like when people got mad at Paul George when he said, I want some Eastern Conference finals and shit like that.
Yeah.
But
nasty work.
but the reality is, those type of accomplishments should mean something. So I think if you start to bring in,
he won the Eastern Conference. Yeah, I feel him. You won a couple.
Yeah, he said what he said Central Division.
He said won a couple of divisions. Don't give a damn about division in the NBA. Like,
yeah, exactly. But no, something like an in-season tournament, that's something people can hang their hat on.
Yeah.
If you continue to hype it and build it the way they do with the European soccer leagues. And so I think it's dope. I think it's something that could definitely be done. It's feasible. It's just a matter of them sitting down and taking the time to map it out properly, because we already have our issues with players sitting out and the season too long and all that complaining and shit. So you will have to dance around that. But I think it's something that, in terms of fans and viewership and making people want to actually come watch certain events, that's definitely, you could help. You could have another built-in mania moment where people are locked in on the NBA.
And with no all, you can actually up the price. You can up the winner money, and they almost halfway there. They haven't even called the in-season tournament though. It's the Emirates NBA Cup, which, by the way, I feel like Emirates sponsors damn near all of the Premier League. Nigga, I see that damn logo everywhere. But like that should be something.
Oh, Emirates, yeah, that's a state-backed airline. So I mean, they don't have to turn a profit. They got Saudi money. It don't matter.
Yeah, right, exactly. Them niggas is. I know my research on these clubs and who owns them. Them niggas got bread. But I know Bang is taking a call right now, so we'll get back to when we come back. But let's get to the first real topic of the show, man. Mr. Luka Dante. Luka returned to Dallas on Wednesday, man, and a very emotional game, man. Very emotional game for him. Before he dropped 45 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds on his former team. They played a very, very emotional, tribute video for him that led him looking like the picture we see right now, him crying. And, this was to me, this just magnified the trade again. It's been 2 months, and I still don't understand what the fuck was Dallas doing. It made no sense to me from a basketball perspective. Makes no sense to me from your fan base. And it really felt like everybody in that building was sad. Even Luka. Like, it's like Luka had a really, really hard time with it. And at the same time, I believe this is the day he became a Laker. Like, what did Van Jones say? Today Donald Trump became president of the United States. On Wednesday, Luka Doncic became a Los Angeles Laker. And even said himself, like, I was emotional. This city has been my home for the last six and a half years. But now it's time to move on. And I really feel like that's exactly what happened. And the fire Nico chants was Nico very, very clearly hearing it. And to make it worse, Anthony Davis shit the bed. He had 13 points. He was 5 of 13. It was not aggressive whatsoever. And it was just kind of like more egg on the face for Dallas fans here. Bang, what did you think about this moment? Anything that stood out to you about Luka's return to Dallas?
Man, it was a lot. I did not expect to see my man get emotional like that. When I saw y'all texting about it and everything, I was like, damn, dude really like it hit him here, I guess, as you could say it. And then he went out there to go kick their ass. I won't say the Laker thing until the playoffs though, because I want to see if this is the fuel that he needs to say, all right, bet. I know he said that this chapter is over with, but again, I want to see what the playoffs look like. I want to see what this Luka looks like. If he's been holding this in and he's been waiting for that moment to 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 basically fix whatever needs to be fixed mentally, then if that's the case, then the Lakers need to win the NBA championship. Because when you have a confident, focused Luka with LeBron James, nothing should stop you. Nothing. Especially when both of you have taken teams to finals with less talent. So that I'll make that decision when I see Luka in the playoffs dominate like I know he can. But it was a good moment, great moment actually, to see him emotional, to see that the crowd like really pouring into him. Um, and it might not have been a playoff atmosphere, but you definitely felt like this was a moment that you will never forget if you watch that game. And I won't get it. I won't forget it. I've never seen a player get that emotional off
Yeah.
of one of these joints. You just see players go, all right, man,
Yeah,
thank
for a
y'all.
return,
But for return, this was the most I've ever seen emotionally.
I've never seen anything like that. I'm trying to think of any others, and usually they cry when they retire and they come back. Like, but when they're still playing, I've never seen that. Dante, what you think about Wednesday's return of Luka to Dallas?
I mean, this is why people should be afraid of the Lakers come postseason because Luka's the type of player where he rises to the occasion in these moments. Like when you need him to play big, he usually does play big. I know he got cooked a little bit in the finals for defensive reasons, but I think when it comes to these big moments, kind of like how everybody says Luka hates the Clippers. He always gets up to play the Clippers. Like it's certain moments that when it's time for Luka to be Luka, that's what he's going to do 100%. So I expected him to have this type of game going back to Dallas. And like I said, this is exactly why people should be afraid of the Lakers come playoff time because as long as they are healthy and they can scheme things up defensively, I think they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Especially at home. They have one of the best home records in the NBA, and if they win these two games this weekend, they will be the number 3 seed in the Western Conference, and niggas going to have to come to Staples, which is not a easy place to play in. Let's talk about the trade, not trade, but the move that almost made me crash my car on Tuesday, and that is what the Denver Nuggets did, and that is firing Michael Malone, their long tenured championship winning head coach, and also fired GM Calvin Booth, who was the general manager that orchestrated the roster that won the 2023 NBA championship. Now, this is the third coach to win one of the last 5 NBA championships to be fired in the last couple of years. Joining who was it? Was Frank Vogel and also Mike Budenholzer. So yeah, so as another one here, man. Now there's been a lot of rumors about what has been going on. Obviously, I mean, apparently there's been a cold war between Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. These niggas have never liked each other, and it's just something where Denver Nuggets owner, Josh Kroenke, who them niggas own everything. Them niggas are the Arsenal owners too. I found out as well. Them niggas own everything. Uh, he decided, and he didn't want to pick sides, so he decided to get rid of both of them. My first reaction was, what the fuck? Like, to me, it's like, okay, if you're gonna fire the head coach, that's one thing. Firing the head coach 9 days before the NBA playoffs start is asinine. I don't care what the situation was. Get through the postseason, and at least if you're gonna fire him, give a little respect. I feel like when a coach has been with your franchise for a decade and is your highest winning coach of all time, the coach that's brought you your only championship in franchise history, he should be treated with a lot more respect than what he was treated with. If they go to playoffs and they fail, it's whatever. Tell Michael, like, yo, Mike, it's been a good decade. We've learned, we've all gained something from this relationship. We gonna part ways. I see nothing how this helps them. They were already floundering. Right now, if the playoffs begin, they'd be I think the fifth seed, if I'm not correct, the Western Conference standings change like every 5 hours now. But that's not helping. The fact this team is even where they're at right now, mainly because of Nikola Jokic, but also because I believe Mike Malone's coaching. This roster is not what it was 2 years ago. They're going to get rid of anybody. Get rid of the GM who let some of these important pieces walk. In my personal opinion, there's just a lack of respect that's shown here. And if you're, I think David Adelman, Rick Adelman's son, this doesn't set him up well either. Now you got to take this team that you were not the head coach of for the entire year and guide them in the playoffs. It's just was wildly put together, and I think that this just could have waited. Like even with the Taylor Jenkins thing, Taylor Jenkins wasn't in Memphis for 10 years. Taylor Jenkins didn't win an NBA championship. This was much more of a slap in the face and something that I just didn't understand. Bang, what you think about this firing that happened this week?
I'm still confused. And here's why I'm even more confused. If there's been a Cold War going on since Calvin Booth was hired, this is ownership's fault. This is ownership's fault. If these guys ain't like each other the whole time, this is ownership's fault. That means last year somebody should have been fired. I don't care if it's 2 years removed from an NBA championship. Last year, somebody should have been fired if it is that toxic. If it's that toxic and y'all been winning, then finish the goddamn season and then take care of everything then. But I think this was a move that was stupid. Like you just waited out. You've waited this long in a toxic relationship. What is this going to do to galvanize anything? 3-4 games before the season is over with, especially when things are so close. It's just a stupid move. Wait till after the season over with. But this is ownership's fault by letting this go on so long.
Dante, what's your thoughts on this?
No, I agree 100%. I think it's one of those situations where you have somebody who's won a championship. Come on, bro. He won a championship. You've had success despite injuries, despite whatever's been tossed his way, and we turned it into a power struggle where we say, well, I can't pick sides. I think somebody made a good point. It was shocking off the strength that the Cronkies don't really switch coaches like that in any of the teams that they own. It's typically not what they do. They usually rock it out. They let their front offices do their jobs, and like you see, he's been successful. The man's won championships with every team he has for the most part, except for Arsenal. But it doesn't make sense to me. A couple games before the playoffs, but also they said that because it was such an issue that sometimes winning can mask the real issue. That I think this was Wendy who said it. They had to fire him because if you go to the playoffs and you run it off again, not even win the championship, but you make a deep playoff run, then you look insane if you fire Mike Malone after that. So it was like, look crazy now as opposed to risking to him going in, winning, and you looking even worse. So like, I guess it's like more of a thing where they felt like they were winning in spite of him and not because of him. So if that's how you feel, then yeah, make the switch. But for me, it didn't make a lot of sense at all.
Yeah, even if you feel that way about your winning in spite of him, it's waited out. Like to me, this is like something. It's like you rooming with your significant other and you decide to kick the person out when you got like a week left on the lease. Like nigga, you might as well just let the shit rock out. Like at that point, that's what this is to me. But to me, this spurs a bigger question that I'm worried about. Is this the new era of coaching where some of the complaints was he rolled the players too hard, pause, and that he said things that the old school coaches usually say that really players don't like anymore. And from what we learned, Nikola Jokic knew nothing about it. Joker's actual quote was, "I was told about it, and I was a shock, but then I moved on and accepted it." Granted, he's not from here, so maybe he's easy with these things. I don't know. He seemed like he's real robotic with the answer. But we don't actually know how Jokic really feels about this. This is going to be the beginning of Jokic being upset with the front office. This is the beginning before he asked for a trade request. But is this going to be something when we see with coaches where they're going to be on much more shorter leases? Well, maybe at max, they're 3, 5 years. I mean, Jerry Buss himself said he feels like after 8 years that a coach gets toned out, and we saw that with in Chicago with Ozzie Guillen, with Lovie Smith, and even Coach Q, who won the 3 championships with the Blackhawks. Like, yeah, 2 of the 3 of these men are championship winning coaches, but after a while, their voice got tired. Maybe that was the case. My problem isn't firing Mike Malone. The problem is how they did it. But do you think we're going to see something where, and I understand a little bit from the team perspective, when you know about the second apron that's really impacting the NBA, where now you gotta try to win very, very quickly, because if you have any max players, it's very hard to keep all of them. Like the Boston Celtics are winning right now, they're gonna have an issue in about 2 years because of all the guys they've got to pay. So maybe when you're paying all these billions and billions of dollars, you like, okay, we need to win now, and if they don't get it done, they're out of here. But I really think this is like a transactional factor right here in the NBA. Now, Mike Malone's going to be fine. I think he's going to find a job very quickly, and we're going to talk about an option I think will be great for him in just a minute. But Van, do you think this is ushering in a new era of, how much rope coaches have when they get jobs now?
I don't think it's gonna be like a new. I don't think it's gonna be like a new trend. I think that this trend has been going on. It's just when we look at it now, it's bigger coaches that this is happening to. I think this is just simply a situation, if you listen to everything, that the coach and the GM was just in a toxic situation. And again, I put the onus on this squarely on ownership. Ownership should have ownership should have nipped this in the bud a long time ago, and they didn't. And they let this go. And that's why we're in what we're in. But I do think this is just, I will say that this probably is just another version of player empowerment, because if you listen to what some of the things that was said, it was basically said that Joker, you had one person said that Joker was not aware of it, and blah blah blah. This is the only coach he's ever known. Blah blah blah. But then you have some people that said that Joker or Mike Malone's way of coaching weighed heavily on Jokic too. I don't believe that to be the case. Um, I also believe, simply put, that this was just a toxic situation and they felt like they had no other way to go. Maybe something happened between those two, somebody cut somebody out, a yelling match. We'll find that out. But I think that these are just situations. I think these are situations more so. Let's find out what the other person got. Let's find out what David Alderman can do. Let's find out what the gentleman that is the interim head coach of the Grizzlies could do. David Alderman has been on multiple head coaching list of future head coaches, and people have had interviews and things of that nature. So being that you have somebody like that, and you have somebody that you trust, because nobody on the offense, nobody on the staff got fired either. It was just the coach and the GM. None of the assistant coaches got fired. So if David Adelman is used to this group, nobody got fired, and he's been somebody that people see as a future head coach, you run with that in this situation. But I don't think these are like hockey firings, to put it specifically. I think these are situations where it's like, look, even with Taylor Jenkins, we fired your whole staff last year. Writing was on the wall.
Yeah, that's very true. And one thing about Boots that I didn't know, they have been trying to negotiate an extension since November that was moving nowhere. Dante, do you think this is just a one off, or is this going to be something we start seeing happening more in the NBA?
I think you're gonna start to see it happening more. I think Steve Kerr hit the nail on the head when he spoke about a lot of the venture capital and finance money that's coming into sports, and you have to look at the way they do business. It's kind of like with the way our political system is being ran right now, where people are trying to, focus on profits and cutting waste and things like that. That's just a broad way that they think in terms of everything. And so having them come into sports is going to be the same way. If they aren't getting a certain result, or they feel like a certain coach isn't doing what they want to be done, they're going to be gone. I think you're going to see it a lot faster. as more and more of that type of money and that type of business mind comes into sports. So it's unfortunate because we talk about how it takes time to build a team, build chemistry, create a culture and things like that. But right now, these ownership groups aren't trying to hear that. Like, we're gonna spend the money, we want the success. If you can't give it to us, we're gonna find somebody who can. And I think it's gonna be that simple.
Yeah, we gonna see, but I do know there's one spot that I feel that Michael Malone could fill in very perfectly, and that is the San Antonio Spurs. We all know that Pop, he had a stroke this year and he has not been back, and it's really up in the air if he's coming back to coach the Spurs long term next year. This is something where I would hope he doesn't, just because anytime you have a stroke and things like that, especially at his age, it's gonna take a while for recovery. And then also, Pop has had a very rough last couple of years, so his job security is up in there. But to me, this makes sense because obviously Mike Malone is from the San Antonio tree. He has been Pop's assistant coach before, and they got some great guys over there. You got a generational player in Victor Wembanyama. This gives him a chance to work with another big like he did with Jokic and put some game on Jokic that he could use for Victor. You got maybe an emerging all-star in Stephon Castle. You got somebody who you just traded a current all-star in De'Aaron Fox. You got a nice little core over there in San Antonio. Is an organization that has a history of winning and winning a lot, a standard of excellence. I always said the Spurs weren't a dynasty, but they were a very, very good team with, if anything, had consistency. And that would be a place I can see Michael Malone at for coaching as long as he wants to. This is not a situation where you got these super, super billionaire owners like the Cronkies in Denver. And maybe there'll be a little bit more grace because you're working with such a young team. Now, he's definitely going to have to pick in a litter. If the Knicks go out in the first, second round this year, I think Tibbs might be out of there. He might be a candidate in New York. He's going to have his the best pick of jobs wherever he wants to go. But to me, San Antonio would be the best. Bay, do you think San Antonio is the best option for Malone, or you think there's some other team that could be open up that you can see him going?
Shit, I'm shocked they ain't say he was hired now. Like this is also why the firing is stupid. You are about to lose your head coach to a potential rival. Like, strategically, it wasn't even the best move for me. I would not be shocked or surprised if Mike Malone is the next head coach. Now, my father recently had a mini stroke. I had a family member that had a mild stroke. My mother suffered a massive stroke in 2009. So I've seen firsthand how these things can go. Rehabbing, if you have some issues with limbs, what that could look like the slowing down of speech and motor skills and stuff. It's hard to come back to coaching after that when a lot of stroke has to do with your blood pressure. And you can't tell me that your blood pressure is not going to 0 to 60. In fact, go watch Major League 2, and that was a heart attack. But go watch Major League 2 when my man was in the hospital when the Indians was trying to go to the World Series. Like, yo, calm your ass down over there. So if I'm Pop, it is very easy for me to move on to somebody who knows the organization, who knows the city, who's recently won a championship, who knows how to get the best out of his star players. And then Chris Paul said that he don't feel like he's going nowhere anytime soon. So maybe they bring him back on another cap-friendly contract, and he's able to work with Fox and Castle, and you still got Wemby right there. And that whole Kendon Johnson, my man, I forgot my man's name that be dying to say like Rodman. They have a young team. They need another vet and a head coach who's been there. So this and they're gonna have what, possibly 2 lottery picks?
Them niggas might get Cooper.
Right. So matter of fact, if I'm Mike Malone, I'm like, yo, Pop.
Hook your boy up. The prodigal son is
I'm
coming back home.
Yeah.
Dante, what you think about the Spurs fit? You think that's great, or you think there's another team that he could possibly go to?
I like it a lot. I think the Spurs should be number one, but I think the Knicks should be 1A. Like I think we just talked about people tuning out a coach. I think Tibbs' ways have kind of worn on the Knicks. We talk about Mikal Bridges is a guy who never missed a game in his career, but when you can get him to start complaining about minutes, that says maybe there's something in your approach we need to change here. Something you need to acknowledge isn't really working. But Tibbs hasn't done that. Tibbs is always going to be Tibbs. Love him or hate him. And I think with the Knicks, with everything you had, all the hype you had coming into this season, even with injuries, even with trades and things like that, Tibbs, it might be time for a new voice there. So I think New York, also Milwaukee. I think that's another if we want to shake things up a little bit. A team that's looking for a spark. But no, I think more than anything, like you said, the familiarity, being from San Antonio, from that coaching staff, from that tree, bringing them back makes the most sense. And like you said, bringing in 2 lottery picks, that young team is going to be coached hard, and you already have a vet there in Chris Paul, who's going to be an extension of the coach on the court. So that helps him out. And so I think, that situation seems like ready made for him to just slide right over there. So if I was the Spurs, and bang, I'm the same way. My father had a stroke, and like, even with the full recovery, he's not as sharp as he was mentally before. It's just the product of a stroke. And so when you have a guy like Pop and everything that is involved with being a head coach and the strategy and things of that nature, like you said, this is something they really got to take into consideration. And I think Mike Malone would be the guy, like you said, just slide right in there, bring them back, and they go from there with that talented team.
I see Orlando has the Che put Hornets. Why would you wish that on Mike Malone? Like, you shouldn't wish the Hornets on anybody, man. But we're gonna take a quick 1 minute break. On the other side, Mr. Caleb Williams is in the news. Said some things about his former head coach in a fancy magazine. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Shador Sanders. He has been doing his 30-day visits. What's that looking like, man? And of course, Tyreek Hill in trouble once again. And me and Dante will be talking about some baseball in the high and outside segment. So we'll be right back in 1 minute right here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.
And we are back here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. Shout out to everybody watching once again. Let's get into the Bears. We do not have enough for local hour right now, so we really only gonna got one Bears topic. There's a lot of Bears content creators out there. I'm not gonna say no names. Y'all niggas are stretching it with these topics y'all been doing. Like, niggas been talking about the same shit every day. Like, how many times we gonna talk about who the Bears are gonna pick at 10? But thank you, Caleb, for running your mouth in the magazine for today's content. Caleb Williams, as you can see right here, Mr. Caleb Williams is on the cover of the Mavericks of Sports Esquire cover for the month of April and May 2025. Man, he had some interesting things to say about former head coach of the Chicago Bears, and that happens to be Mr. Matt Eberflus. Let's just get into some of the stuff that he said right here. We've got this first caption that says Williams appeared in the cover of the Mavericks of Sports edition of the magazine wearing a pink and maroon rugby shirt and a plaid overcoat. His comments that sparked marked the first time he's talked publicly about the locker room's annoyance with Eberflus. Though he said at Hallis Hall 3 days after the Hail Mary lost that right in the moment, you're angry, you're furious that you lost, and you lost in that way. The Bears lost 10 games in a row during Rookie's William year under Eberflus and then interim head coach Thomas Brown before winning the season finale at Lambeau Field. Williams told Esquire he was so beat up mentally, physically, and spiritually by the late season losses. When I got home, I got in my bed and I just dropped a few tears, he said. How Eberflus handled at the time for the game was, I think, one of the things that throughout the locker room people talked about and were annoyed by, Williams told the magazine. The Bears fired Eberflus the next month after the late game gaffle in Detroit. The locker room was annoyed then too, with cornerback Jalen Johnson barking at the coaching staff, and Eberflus refused to take a timeout on a Cox bar. A game that also I was waiting to get in the locker room for about 20 minutes. That's how I knew that niggas is probably in here getting pressed. In the cover, Williams also said in the magazine that he hopes the struggles that the Bears endured last season will help him this year. I quote said, "I think those losses were pretty important for me and my growth." Williams told the magazine, "To go on a loser streak, to be in this position and to be at the helm of it was just definitely important for me. Just being able to see how I need to be when times are bad. I'm going to work my tail off to never be in this situation again." As for Williams' new head coach, he said the plan for his pairing with Ben Johnson is to go win big. So once again, that is Caleb Williams in this month's Esquire cover. That is the Mavericks of Sports edition. Bang, what you think about what we heard from QB1 here? You gonna play the Jeopardy music?
No, I had to think about what I had to think about what I was gonna say before I say it. This ain't the time to be talking like that. Only thing, this ain't the time. You did not have a good season, or the season did not go the way that it was planned. So don't get me wrong. Everything that was said, we know. But you coming out on the cover story about and talking about this and knowing that you in the third biggest market and you be in that layer line and all of those things, it makes it seem like, or it will be made seem like, it would be made to be seen that you are throwing people under the bus and you didn't have the season that you were supposed to have. You were not able to lead the team to the playoffs. Now, again, everything he's saying, we know. This is common knowledge. I just hate that it came out before the season when you have a lot of proving to do yourself. And if you do not prove, if you do not improve, then these words are going to come back to haunt you. I got faith in him. Don't get me wrong. Got faith in Caleb. It's just that it puts more pressure on you than it needs to be. I would have rather this came out after the coming season, after we've seen the success that I believe that we're going to see. But it just comes off like he's throwing the coach up under the bus, and it comes off as him being extra emotional, which this was a thing that people wanted to make sure that they hold against him before he was even drafted. He talking about he went home and got to his knees and cried and all of that shit. I want to hear that shit. No, I want to hear about how you prepare. If anything, I want to hear about how you prepared to improve this season. I don't give a fuck about Flus. I don't give a fuck about Waldron. I don't even give a fuck about Thomas Davis. I don't give a fuck about nobody on that coaching staff. Anything that I hear from Caleb Williams, it should be, for me, should be how he plans on improving this season with Ben Johnson. All of that stuff is in the past. Keep it there.
Dante, this is a bad look for QB1.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it because I agree with what he was saying. It's the same way, but I gotta remember I was the same one when it came to Justin, that like a lot of the excuses, when the excuses are factual, I don't mind you saying it. Like it's one thing if you leaning on it to match your bullshit play, but I mean he still had one of the best seasons we've ever, well, the best rookie Bears quarterback season ever. I know the bar is in hell, but he had a season given everything that was thrown at him that I can take from a rookie and somebody that we knew was going to go through some growing pains. And as far as throwing Flus under the bus, I'm kind of with you when it's like, so what? Like in the same vein of you saying, fuck Flus, I don't care about Flus. I don't care if he's saying negative things about him because we saw it on the field. We saw the results of what Flus was doing. So for him as a quarterback to say it, I know it might be one of those moments where it's right message, wrong messenger, because like you said, you want your quarterback to be locked in and just focused on improving and everything we have to do. But I'm also, as much as I want people to just play, I've stopped being a real big fan of like the corny. It's kind of you basically, man. I'm not saying you doing this, but I feel like a lot of people want Caleb to be like Russell Wilson. And we've sat here for years and watched y'all clown Russell Wilson for being a by the book, I just want to lead my team kind of guy. Not saying that's what you're doing, but that's what I think that's what
Yeah.
some people are trying to do with Caleb. Because it's like he has a personality, he's gonna show it, and he's gonna speak. That's what he's done the entire time, is speak his mind, and I'm cool with it. So I think it's just another example of, the dysfunction that we saw as fans was being felt in the locker room, and it's why the fucking coach got fired in the first place.
Yeah, I'm cool with it when you win though. Like that's my thing. Like it's still things that he needs to work on and stuff like that. And this even we talked about when it comes to like what Ryan Post said, like he needs to lock in. He was not his best himself. When you hear that from your GM and then you hear this, it's like, man, I know it and I'm with you, but it's like, all right, let's get this, let's improve under Ben, and then you can say, this is what I dealt with my rookie season. This is what I have now, and I'm and this is great. Like I don't mind him saying it. It's just to me bad timing considering some of the things that has been said about him last season. And then I'm not saying that this is a prove it season. I'm not going to do the ESPN joints and say that this is a prove it thing, but he still has things to prove. If he comes out this season and I don't want to say lays an egg, but shit, if he had the same season he had last year, then people going to be looking at those quotes. And that's going to make it harder for him. But again, he was right in his assessment. He was 100% right in his assessment. I just feel like that we're probably a year away from him being able to say that, and also the league being able to take that seriously. But he was 100% right, and I can't be mad at that.
I think y'all both bring up good points. I'm kind of like, I don't give a shit. And this is why. If Caleb was the only one who felt this way, I would look at it a lot more different. Like, all right, nigga, you running your mouth, you doing a lot. Yeah, by Bears standards, he had a pretty solid rookie campaign. But like there was ups and downs. It was a typical rookie season. If he didn't come in with as much hype as he came into, I think we would look at that season a lot differently. And especially if Jay Daniels didn't have the season he had where he was killing it and took his team one half away from the damn Super Bowl. But the reason I don't care because I was with this team all season. That everybody were saying these things. So if this was something where he's just being the quarterback who's running his mouth too much, who does he think he is? No, nigga. Jalen Johnson almost knocked this nigga out. Like this team couldn't stand Matt Eberflus. If this was midseason, I think I'd have more of an issue about like let's stay focused. You got the Vikings coming up this week. You got the Niners coming up this week. Why are you doing interviews midseason? This offseason, he was out in I think he was in I don't know somewhere out the country because he's with his girlfriend in whatever country she's from. So I don't really care that much about it. It's not like to me he really threw Eberflus under the bus. This isn't anything that if you followed the Bears that you haven't heard in the last 3 seasons, even before Caleb got here. We were hearing these things about Matt Eberflus. So I didn't have a problem with that. I do, yeah, Ben, you're right. There is a lot of pressure on him, but I don't think a magazine adds more pressure. Caleb is the first NIL quarterback. There's already an immense number of pressure. You got the coach who he's won it, the coach who the front office is running, and the coach who the fans have run it for the last 2 seasons. If he goes out there and he huffs it up or he's okay, he's gonna get murdered regardless. And I don't even think we'll be thinking about Esquire cover. So I think both y'all are right. I think both y'all are right. I just personally, I don't care that much. I just feel like you're either gonna play or you're not. I don't think a magazine quote's gonna affect how you're gonna play on the field. But to me, he was just saying what the locker room said. If it was an individual thing, I'd say yeah, he's doing a lot. And as far as the emotional thing, yeah, you're right. People say, oh, he's crying, but that's just how these era kids are. They're more emotional, and that's just how these type of niggas are. So, and yeah, I do want to see him step up more. But to me, this is just the process of stuff that comes with having I'm not going to call him a superstar yet because he's not that, but a famous quarterback. The Bears have a famous quarterback, and that's just what I think comes with that. So that's just my thoughts on that. But speaking of one highly touted quarterback, let's go to another one, Shador Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders. Man, we've all been trying to figure out where is he gonna go. We are less than 2 weeks away from the 2025 NFL draft. The top three is pretty much solidified at this point. It sounds like it's gonna go Cam Moore #1 to the Tennessee Titans, Travis Hunter #2 to the Cleveland Browns. Especially they just signed Joe Flacco's coming back today. So Orlando said, "I'm just happy Caleb got a Chris line." Yeah, he's going back to first year USC Caleb or second year USC Caleb. But and #3 is going to be Abdul Carter going to the Giants. Now he did his 30-day visit this week. He went to Las Vegas and visited with Pete Carroll and the Raiders and everybody out there, and he also visited Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, by the way, still waiting to hear from Aaron Rodgers. I feel like that's gone on the radar by now that this nigga still made them wait. But now with the news from Derek Carr that just came in when we were coming on the air, a different contender said a team that has a higher pick than both of the teams he visited, the New Orleans Saints. Actually, no, the Raiders picked before the Saints, but a very high pick. To me, and he said that he loved his meeting with the Steelers and it felt perfect. They did a good presentation for him. He said he loved seeing the trophies and things like that. Don't know how it went with the Raiders. I'm assuming it went well. They've got a good facility out there. Pete Carroll's a great coach. But to me, I want to, as far as fit, I think the best fit for Shador, honestly, and I hate to say this because I hate this nigga, it's probably Pittsburgh, especially if Aaron Rodgers goes there. We can say whatever we want about Aaron Rodgers. He's a terrible human being, da. His teammates love him. And when it comes to football, I think a perfect mentor on the football field currently would be an Aaron Rodgers to learn for him, be under the guidance for a guy who maybe is a little wet behind the ears, no matter how great of a college career he did have. If you take a year and you're being coached by one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and one of the greatest coaches of all time in a franchise that has the culture that a Pittsburgh Steelers has, that's the best situation for me right here out of these three teams. Vegas is cool. He could probably play. I mean, with Vegas, even though Geno got paid, I don't think that's something where he'd be guaranteed a spot if he starts huffing it up. But I think they're Ashton Genty or bust at this particular time. New Orleans, it makes a lot more sense now because of the injury. I just don't like the culture they got over there. I don't want to see him with Kellen Moore. I would stay away from that. But to me, the best fit has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dante, what do you think is the best fit, at least out of these three teams, for Shador Sanders?
I'm gonna go Pittsburgh. I think New Orleans probably needs the quarterback the worst, but I will go Pittsburgh. I think you're bringing in DK Metcalf, having George Pickens. They're gonna upgrade the run game. They always do. That's the staple there with the Steelers. And their offensive line was when healthy last year was pretty good. Bringing in Aaron Rodgers, I know that's still a question mark. I still think I'm standing by that. Aaron just doesn't want to go to training camp, so he's going to drag this out and then sign with them. So you're going to see him keep putting up videos, throwing with receivers. Next thing you know, he'll be throwing with DK and Pickens, like shit like that. But I think it's a situation where you bring in Shador and you let him sit behind Aaron, who probably only has 2 years max left anyway. I think he probably just wants to play one more solid year and like not go out the way he did. And so with that being said, I think a Shador can come in. He has this, the talent is there, but you now get a chance to let him sit and learn your system and come in more prepared than a lot of these rookie quarterbacks who just get thrown in the fire. So I think that will probably be the best bet for him, unless we get a situation where, like you've seen some mocks where the Browns trade back into the first round and try to get Shador if he slides and things like that. But New Orleans, I don't want Shador in New Orleans. I just don't. I think it would be interesting. But no, given everything that franchise has been going through and their salary cap situation and the way they're going to have to build that thing, I don't think that'll be the best fit for Shador right now. So if I was the Steelers, I know they would probably have to trade up. I've seen the last couple mocks that released had them making a trade with the Bears to get up to 10 to get Shador. So I think you do make that move, even if Aaron Rodgers is coming, and if you fall into the situation where Shador has to start, he's at a better situation than most rookie quarterbacks would be in. So I think with Tomlin there and everything they went through last year, you want to double up. So try to get the most in there, and you could really properly plan this thing for the future if you Pittsburgh.
Bang, which of these three you like the best for Shador?
I actually like the New Orleans Saints because they're in the winnable division. Hey, you don't get me wrong. Tampa Bay has been ruling that division, and Atlanta's been behind them. But when you look at that division and include the Carolina Panthers, and you look at Alvin Kamara, still got a little bit left in the tank. Chris Olave over there, Kellen Moore, offensive coach, that has done well with the quarterbacks that he's had too. I like that fit better, especially when you look at the division. You got Murderers Row over there in Pittsburgh. You can have a good season and don't go no goddamn where. And the Raiders, they also in the Murderers Row type division as well. But Shador in New Orleans, David Carr is reportedly, allegedly dealing with a bad shoulder and could think about surgery. You might end up playing right away a little bit more. If Shador's what y'all say is, I think New Orleans is the place.
Yeah, I think New Orleans from a living place would be amazing. I'd rather live in New Orleans over Pittsburgh, but whatever. But let's move on to the schedule. We got some schedule news going on in the NFL. So the schedule is scheduled to drop around in between May 12th to 15th is what people are saying. But there's some news that's going to be, we got to look for in the schedule release. So there's going to be 7 international games this season, which is an increase from last year. And the NFL's first time in Ireland and first time in Spain. There's going to be an expanded Christmas slate going from a doubleheader on Netflix to a triple header. There's going to be 2 on Netflix and now 1 on Amazon Prime this season. And now there's going to be expanded Thursday night flexing as well, man. Just look at this. We ain't got to spend too much time on this one. But first of all, I love the NFL schedule drop, especially since I started covering the team, because I get to see what cities am I going to visit and, how's the schedule going to look. I don't know if the Bears are going to be out the country again this year. I would doubt it because they went to London last year. But we're going to see what that's like when it comes there. But I think the thing that's kind of standing out to me is I believe that we're eventually going to have that full international division. And people was wondering how's that going to work. And we were saying, well, if you send a team out the country for a month and you visit these teams in all these different areas in just that 1 month, so you're still on the same time zone and things of that nature. I think that's something that could work. Being as somebody who went to one of the international games last year, there's a market for it. Obviously, as we've seen, the fan base grows. The NFL fan base grows outside the country more and more each year. You're seeing more and more people go to these games. More and more, the atmosphere grows, and it's like more of a demand for it than it was at first. And the Christmas thing is just what we've always been saying. They're doubling down on getting the NBA out of here. And I do believe the NBA games this past Christmas were way more entertaining than the 2 NFL games on, but it doesn't matter when you have the system set up that the NFL has. And it's just going to be something where if I'm the NBA, I'd be pissed off about it because now you're adding another game that they're probably going to have in a late window where you usually have the Lakers playing or the Warriors playing or the Celtics playing and things like that, which is something the NBA had by themselves this past Christmas because the 2 games were off before. And I also like the fact that we can have expanded Thursday night football flexing because some of these games do be bad. Even though I think last year was the best year ever for Thursday night football, you always need that option, even though this is terrible for quote-unquote player safety. Dante, anything that sticks out to you about these potential changes and the schedule is going to drop in a couple weeks?
I think if you have a international division, it'll only be in Europe. I don't think any other part of the world would allow for that. Just off the lifestyle players live, like just flat out. I think Europe would be the place for that. And with our current relationship with Mexico, I don't think you're gonna see that. So I think you could see that, but also with them going to Spain, you have teams like Real Madrid, whose brand new stadium has a football pitch under the soccer pitch, and so as you see more teams, kind of like the same with Tottenham, where they're prepared for this. So I think that's going to be dope. I know they said Miami's going to Spain, but they have not announced their opponent. They just said Miami's going to be the home team. I wouldn't be surprised if you do see the Bears, bro. I think the Bears are a team that the league is going to continue to try to showcase. And with Ben Johnson's popularity and Caleb's popularity, I'm not saying it'll be Spain because, like I said, they are going to Ireland. They got a bunch of games this year. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them go again. Just they would go as a road team. Like a lot of teams will go back to back and under the condition that they don't have to sacrifice the home game. And so this year, the Bears would just have to be the road team. And they've already said that Miami is going to be the home team in Spain. So that's the one I would look out mainly for personal, selfish reasons because I want to go to Spain. But I think the Bears, we shouldn't take them off the radar to travel. But I think the Christmas thing, the one thing that's going to slow the NFL up with that is just it's tough to play 3 games in 2 weeks, like you trying to force these teams to do. Like they were, the Ravens complained about it last year. And I know we're gonna switch to eventually get that 18th game, but it's getting to a point where I think you're gonna have those players say something, and like, bro, we can't do this. Like, it just simply the quality of the product is gonna suffer by trying to stuff all these games in there. So I think that's the only thing that could really slow them up on Christmas. But I mean, the NFL, like we said, they're going to be creative with this, and they understand the power that they have. Like the on-field product may suffer, but viewership is going to continue to skyrocket. So that may be the thing that pushes it, which I don't want to see. I would rather see them try to figure out something to where you have that balance where, like, if you play on Christmas, you get like obviously a bye the next week, but even damn near having you on a Thursday game instead of a Sunday game, and then you play like 2/3 because Christmas is usually on a Thursday, right?
Well, it depends.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, I'm thinking about Thanksgiving, but no,
You think
whatever.
about Thanksgiving,
Yeah, whatever day Christmas falls on, bro. You need to have some type of 7 to 10 day break before that, just for sheer player safety. But I mean, that's on the schedule makers, and we'll see how they go with that. But I like it, but I think in terms of a official European division or international division, that'll be in Europe. That'll be Europe and Europe only.
Man, what's your thoughts on these schedule nuggets that drop?
First of all, am I froze?
No, you good.
All right, cool. Because I can't get in the StreamYard to tab for them, so I'm glad I'm good. I hate this shit. Like I hate the globalization of football. Like some shit's just American.
You don't want to grow the game, bang?
No, I sound like I know who I sound like. I feel bad.
You sound like me on the golf course.
I don't give a fuck about the globalization of football. I don't give a fuck about U.S. like Germans learning how to play football more and then them infiltrating and the same thing. With,
so you don't want the problem the NBA has to happen in the NFL.
I don't. That'll never happen. Like that would never happen because I think so many Europeans are more enthralled in soccer than anything else. I don't give a damn about the globalization. We could go over there and visit, show them what we do. We don't need no goddamn European division. We don't need the goddamn, what's that? Like Denmark Dragons.
The Bears lose the Denmark Dragons on a Thursday in November.
Nobody need that shit. That's what I'm saying. That's the shit that I'm talking about. Nobody needs that right there.
The Packers have gotten knocked off by the London Lads.
Yeah, like what's their damn World League of Football ass teams and shit. I don't give a shit about that shit. Like, let's go visit, play football, and then after that, come back to fuck home. All that extra shit. Nah, just make a European football league. Just do what y'all did in the early 90s when we had the World League of Football and like niggas like Kurt Warner was throwing passes to some random nigga who went to like the University of our Alabama Birmingham or some shit. Shouts out to Jared Payton though. Jared was playing in the World League of Football.
Shout out to JP.
Last year. But after that, yeah, I'm straight. Like, fuck all that. Like, go
Well,
do something else.
as a nigga that wants to travel more, do that, please, Roger Goodell. But I definitely understand where you come from, man. Final thing for Bang, get up out of here and enjoy some good wrestling on a Friday. Mr. Tyreek Hill is in the law in the news once again for being in trouble. Third domestic abuse allegation, claim, whatever you want to call it, since he's been in Miami. This time is the altercation between him and his wife. Once again, his wife is Keita Hill or Keita Vaccaro, whichever name she's going by now. This was because of a call from his mother-in-law, who told the cops that she was so scared for her daughter's life. As he was threatening her and yelling at her on their 35-story home, even pushed her off of him, and grabbed their, I think, 4-month-old and tried to leave the building. Now, there have been no charges filed, but she did have some bruisings on her, and she said that, oh, it was just maybe when he grabbed the baby. I personally don't buy that. I'm gonna get Bang. I want to jump in on this first so you can get up out of here. But I just want to say on this, after a while, enough is enough. I didn't believe the house burning down thing was just something that just happened. That sounded fishy to me from the jump. We already heard about the claims that happened right before he got traded to the Miami Dolphins. This just gives the signs of an abuser. Now, understand this is the NFL. The NFL does not care if you are still dominant. Tyreek Hill's fallen off a little bit. The Miami Dolphins are not as good as they were the last couple years. Even though there haven't been any charges found. Are the Dolphins going to address this at all? Because to me, this is a situation where he just keeps doing stuff, and she keeps, acting like nothing happened. And I don't want to say, oh, she needs to do this. It's happening to her. Whatever's happened to her, she has the right to say whatever she wants to say. But this doesn't seem like this is a good guy here, from what we're saying. Bang, what's your take on this? And then we'll get you up out of here.
Man, look, the league gonna have to address it because the thing about it is this is not the first incident for Tyreek Hill. Remember he had a situation early in his Kansas City career around something like this too. So they're gonna have to do something about it because it's too much stuff happening, and people are watching. Like women are watching and they have been watching about how the NBA treats situations like this. So when you have one of your premier players, what do you do? What do you do? The NFL is going to have to do some type of investigation sooner rather than later. And look, it might be a situation where who is that? As Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. Like what if it's a situation like that? Where Xavier Worthy is accusing his now ex-girlfriend, I believe, for wrongdoing in a situation and getting him in trouble. Maybe it's a situation like that, but they have to do their due diligence. They have to investigate and find out what's going on. Don't do anything until that happens, because I'm definitely not one of those believe all women people, because even the founder of the Me Too movement is not one of those believe all women either.
Right.
But at the same time, he has a history of this. So when somebody has a history of it, you have to take it seriously. So hopefully they do, because this is happening too much. And anytime a baby is involved, what you say, a 4-month-old, anytime a baby is involved, yanking the baby, trying to get at, like that ain't cool in itself. As a father, that ain't cool right there. Like leave the kids out of it. You ain't gotta do all that shit. So that's it.
Man, we know you gotta go, man. We will holler at you on Monday.
New Some Dude episode coming out tomorrow morning. Mike B has seen Big Trouble in Little China, so he talks about that. Plus, we get into a little debate around female rap, why I don't listen to female rap because it does not resonate with me, and Mike try to tell me about my life. Since this is acting up, you're going to have to remove me. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah. That is Jared Bang of the show. Anyway, Dante, what's your take on this situation, man?
This is a tough one because I feel like how many times do we need to have a conversation? Like, I've always felt that we put too much onus on the leagues and not enough on law enforcement. We gotta have a real serious conversation about the fact that a lot of law enforcement acts like groupies in situations like this. and they don't prosecute these athletes because of the money involved and because of the connections that the owners have with the police chiefs and the donations they make. And it's a lot deeper than just simply saying, if he was a regular person, he would be behind bars. He's not a regular person. He's somebody who generates a lot of money for his respective teams, and he gets treated accordingly. So it's a tough conversation. You hate to see this type of continued behavior, but it's something that has followed him everywhere he's gone. And just the reality is, bro, as long as he can perform on the field, people are going to deal with it. Should they have to? No. Should Roger Goodell shouldn't have to deal with it? Like this is something that law enforcement should be dealing with, but they typically don't. They just brush it under the rug, which is unfortunate. So Tariq will get another get out of jail free card, and the Dolphins he's been insinuating that he wants to be traded. So he'll either get an extension or get traded, and he'll go on with his career. So it's unfortunate, but it's all the same shit, different day.
Yep, pretty much, man. Let's get into some baseball, man. We guys talk about baseball. We going into weekend 3 of the Major League Baseball season. Dante's been holding it down for his big, covering the Atlanta Braves. They've had a very, very tough season, but you got a new podcast out called High and Outside. Episode 2 is up on all of our feeds. It's up on our YouTube page, right on the Barbershop Network. If you're watching this on the H&B Media page, go on to the Barbershop Network YouTube and at Barbershop Net. You can check out the new episode of High and Outside, and the audio is on our podcast feeds as well. Dante, let them know what they can expect on this week's episode.
A lot of money talk this week. We had a really good conversation, and me and Scott gonna get into a little bit here about just young players who have been signing contract extensions. Some have been celebrated more than others. Obviously, Vladimir Guerrero, he got the 14-year, $500 million deal, and that deal came with a $325 million signing bonus. It's going to be stretched out over, the totality of his deal. And the reason that was important is because it gives the Blue Jays some luxury tax relief, which is important because they already struggle to sign people. It was a smart move by Vladdy because bonuses are taxed based on the states you live in. So as opposed to paying Canadian taxes, he'll be paying Florida taxes, which there are no state tax in Florida, so he gets more of his bread. So that was a good deal, one that everybody expected, and he's getting the value, and he gets to, more importantly, spend his entire career in Toronto. Now the deals that caught some people by surprise were the 8-year, $60 million deal that Christian Campbell signed in Boston, and then Jackson Merrill's deal, to the point where Jackson Merrill, with his deal, the PA, they pretty much told him, bro, I don't think you should sign this. But, he wants to be in San Diego long term. He has a relationship with the ownership group, and he wanted to, stay there. And so this whole conversation has turned into a lot of people wondering, is Major League Baseball going to push for a salary cap? You've had a lot of talk, a lot of exploratory talks. You've had people trying to push to say, hey, if we bring in a salary cap, that allows us to bring in a salary floor. So where these teams that don't spend any money will be forced to spend more. But the downside to that is then now you won't see those $700 million deals because there'll be a salary cap. So that was the bulk of what we talked about. It was a slow week. It's baseball, 182 games. So it's a whole lot going on. 162 games, I'm sorry. That's a whole lot going on. So this week it was really about those deals and what we've been seeing. So Scott, I'm going to ask you this. First, what did you think about Vladdy's deal?
Well, the funny thing about it, when I first heard about it, my initial reaction was, that's it. Because usually with somebody not granted, I understand Vladdy isn't originally who we thought he was going to be. I do believe he's come back to reality a little bit more. But the way we kept hearing about, he didn't want to, the contract negotiations weren't going good, I thought he was going to get a higher number. Because yes, when you think $500 million, it wasn't the number that I thought was, that's kind of low. That's 14 years. So unless my math is off, that's like $35 million a year. So I thought maybe it would be a little bit more, but it kind of goes to what we've been seeing with a lot of these younger players signing these team-friendly deals. And I honestly do think this is a team-friendly deal. Now, like you just said, he's going to get majority of that because he's getting paid through Florida, no state taxes. Kind of like how Shohei Ohtani, when he's going to get his full contract, he'll be getting them when he's in Japan. So he's going to get the bulk of his money. But that just kind of what stuck out to me. But and Vladdy is Canadian too, which I didn't even know until recently. So I guess he wanted to stay there, win for both parties, and that's why I think you're starting to see with a lot of these extensions. Now, when it comes to the salary cap, I, I'm against it. I'm 100% against it. I don't think there should be a salary cap in any sport. I am very much against salary caps in any sport. I think these billionaire owners need to stop being cheap and spend the money that you have. And especially the teams, the owners of big franchises. This goes back to the Cubs. I am not a Cub fan, never will be a Cub fan. All Cub fans can go to hell if you ask me. But there's no reason why they shouldn't be spenders like the Los Angeles Dodgers and like the San Diego Padres, who is a small market team, should never be outbid by the Chicago Cubs. And so I think that you're seeing all of this. We need a salary cap shit from smaller market teams or bigger market teams who don't want to spend because they're cheap. And they're mad because teams like the Dodgers are doing it better than everybody else. And I also don't believe this is something that is going to get voted on. Now I didn't finish all the pod yet. By the way, you need to check it out, even though it is. I'm not only saying this because it's on the network, but this is a really, really informative pod, and I think everybody should check it out. Dante, what do you think about the salary cap?
And I'm sure this was intentional. They had me when they mentioned the salary floor because you got too many teams, including the one I root for, that they refuse to spend money.
That's
So
also
if you
true.
if you raise that floor to where you have to spend a minimum amount, you'll see a lot less guys sitting on the sidelines not getting signed. Like prime example, Verdugo, he's not a world beater, but it's nowhere in hell he should have been sitting at home as long as he was sitting at home this
Yeah.
offseason. Like to make teams spend to try to be competitive, continue to, build your farm systems, develop talent because that's important too. But at the same time, when you develop talent, pay that talent. Don't sit here and BS around and you still got franchises like Tampa Bay who they can develop with the best of them, but then they just gonna trade you. Like they just gave out the one deal to the pedophile. So they're gonna stop doing that. That's over with. You can forget that. So you got situations like that. Obviously, the White Sox, you got the A's, who they gave Severino a deal, but I mean, like you said, historically, they've been able to draft well and develop well, and then they usually trade a guy. But he gets paid somewhere else. You see the deal Lawrence Butler signed was a very team friendly deal. So I mean, you gonna get a lot of that unless you try to force them to spend. So, but my whole thing is, I understand why they're doing it is because they want that cap. They want that cap. So even if you put in a floor, you're going to just see owners who are smart enough to get right on that floor while the top team still hit the cap and spend the money. So it's a situation where I don't want it. Like the idea of a cap floor was a good idea to me, but overall, I don't think you could do it because you're going to end up selling yourself short. And like I say on the show, the Major League Baseball Players Association is probably the strongest players association out of the three leagues. Like they've been able to get the most for their players, and they're the only league with guaranteed contracts, and rightfully so. So I mean, I think it's a situation where you can't give that type of power away when you've had the leverage for this long.
Definitely, man. So anything else? I wanted to ask you about the Cubs. I know y'all talked about this on this episode as well.
Yeah.
They had a real hot start to the season. I think they're playing the way that a lot of people were expecting them to play. Because really not even because of the additions they made. I mean, Kyle Tucker was a great addition as we've seen, and there's been some early rumors that him and the Cubs are talking about extension. I made a mistake on the show last week. I said his agent was Scott Boras. I just found out it wasn't Scott Boras. So that's something that could be in the Cubs' favor. But they just lost Justin Steele. He's on the IL and he might be out longer than they're expecting. What did you like and what do you dislike from what you've seen from the Cubs so far this season?
I mean, I like the offense. The offense is like this is why you go get Kyle Tucker. This, a lot of people were mad about trading Cam Smith and getting rid of prospects and saying, we were right there to do X, Y, and Z. But no, this is why you go get a guy. And so, a guy like Kyle Tucker, I think that's somebody you want to try to bring it to the fold and lock down, especially with the start he's had, because as you know the summer goes on, it's only gonna get hotter at Wrigley. The ball's only gonna fly more, and having a lefty like Kyle in your lineup, I think would be deadly. The issue is the bullpen, and I think it's partially the people in the bullpen, and it's Craig Counsell, the guy you paid a lot of fucking money to be the manager. And I think this is one thing that's gonna keep coming back to where people want to see him. You know, with a manager, you know, it's hard to really quantify impact for a lot of people, but one way that we can easily do it is looking at the moves you make with the bullpen, the decisions you make and when you make them. And right now, his haven't gone well to start. I think that can obviously change. And I think also this is a team that, with the prospects they have, they still have one of the best these AAA teams. I know one of the best farm systems. They need to get some arms, bro. Like whether that be via call ups or making moves. But I think you got to get some more arms in that pen, and they can score with anybody right now. But we'll see how long that happens. They can get consistent. We know Dansby always goes into his slumps, his ups and downs, but also bringing in Kyle, having Sayah be hitting the way he is. Dansby, to me, Dansby thrives when he doesn't have to be the guy. Like when he can just go out and play, and that's when you see Dansby Swanson at his best. And so I think it's a lot of good things to be happy about over there on the north side. So it's still early, but no, I think the Cubs are definitely serious. And if one way to show your face, and I do think like this is something we can all say, they owe it to their fans to try to take the push to run it. You know, you give you give them some leeway for the years when they were renovating Wrigley, but all that shit's over. Wrigleyville looks amazing. You own the entire neighborhood, so the revenue is there. You got your marquee network, which is struggling, but still you have opportunities to make money everywhere. So just put that money back into the team. So I think the Cubs will be all right. Only time will tell, though.
And they play the Dodgers this weekend at Chavez Ravine. We'll see how that goes. Dodgers had a so-so East Coast trip this past week, man. That is all we got for y'all on this edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Shorter show than usual today, but we'll be back on Monday as we're gonna preview the play-in tournament, which starts on Tuesday, man. It's the final weekend in the NBA regular season. Some big games tonight, Saturday, and Sunday. Big game on Sunday afternoon on ESPN. The Golden State Warriors taking on Los Angeles Clippers. That's probably going to be for the 5th seed right there. But we'll be breaking all of that down on Friday, getting you ready for the playoffs. A lot of basketball stuff coming up here, man. But, of course, follow me at Barber Chair Scott on all social media platforms, man. Follow the Barber's Chair at Barber's Chair Co. on all social media platforms. Follow our partners, HB Media, at HB Media TV on Twitter/X and at HB Media on Instagram. And of course, follow the new Instagram page of the show. I'm not going to hold you at INGHY show. And of course, subscribe to the Patreon, man, patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network. If you are listening to this on the podcast feed, you can click on the link in the description box. If you're watching this on your smart TV, on any TV or iPad, take your phone up to the QR code and it will take you to all 4 tiers. We have a new episode of Summer Sessions up on the Summer Sessions tier. Got a lot of 79th and Hallis content we just added for the 79th and Hallis tier. And, of course, the I'm Not Gonna Hold You tier, which you will get an extra show. I do a Wednesday show now that it drops each and every Wednesday. So you can check that out. And if you subscribe to the $10 holla, that is the Barber's Chair All Access feed, you get everything and more that I just named. And you will get 25% off your first order at the Barbers Chair Network store. That is bcnetshop.com. We've got a cool shirt drop-in for Bears fans on draft day. If you want to see a glimpse of it, you can go to the 79th Hallis Twitter account right now. I posted it last night of what one of the mock-ups look like, so look out for that. You can follow Dante at October Zone Tay on Twitter. Like we said, High and Outside episode 2 is up on the Barber's Chair YouTube right now, and also on Spotify and on our Spotify and Apple podcast platforms. Dante, anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
Nah, man, just keep supporting the brand. Like you said, we're gonna keep expanding, keep doing more. Keep fighting. I appreciate the fact when I got into the press box, I had a bunch of people reach out to me and tell me, keep doing what we're doing, keep trying to, stay on them and let them know that we are a legitimate news source, bro. We are not the traditional media, but we are indeed working our way into these media circles. So, man, we appreciate the love and support, and we're gonna keep doing what we do.
I'm gonna tell you niggas out there, man, stop trying to little bro me. I'm not your little niggas. I'm not gonna name who I'm talking about, but I'm not your little niggas. Okay, just want to throw that out there. I am a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, man. I know Dante, you're gonna be watching the Masters this weekend.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna be watching a lot of Premier League football this weekend, so it's gonna be a good weekend for me as well. Y'all have a good weekend, and we'll be back on Monday. Pavi be back. NBA Monday is going to preview the NBA in-season tournament as we get you ready for the NBA playoffs. And Courtney is going to be bringing back hockey for dummies as the Stanley Cup playoffs kick off next week as well, man. So y'all enjoy y'all weekend, and we'll holler at y'all on Monday. We up out of here.